As you guys know, I like to make videos of all the fun facts to be found in the Star Wars novels. Unfortunately, I didn't start that until Aftermath Life Debt, and there are a handful of books I just don't have time to read again. Fortunately, my friend Marvel Star Wars, who writes blog posts of the fun facts, is helping me out with the older books. I'll link to his post in the description, but today we're going through all the fun facts, references, connections, and Easter eggs he found in the book Aftermath by Chuck Wendig. As the book was part of the Journey to the Force Awakens line, it contains several pieces of setup for the film and its related materials. One of the main characters of the book is Snap Wexley, who will later be an important Resistance pilot. Species from the film like Abednedos get cameos, and the final interlude of the book is set on Jakku. Other interludes are set on planets previously introduced in the expanded universe. Nalol was from an issue of Gamer magazine. Uter and Dasor were from the HoloNet News Online articles that set up Attack of the Clones. Hanna City, the capital of Chandrilla, was first mentioned in Adventure Journal 7. Coronet City on Corellia was introduced in the Corellian trilogy, and of course now has been shown on the big screen in Solo: A Star Wars Story. Savarkos was from Adventure Journal 12, Terrace was from Knights of the Old Republic, and Level 1313 on Coruscant was created by George Lucas for the unproduced live-action TV show that was then going to be shown in the sadly cancelled video game, but did eventually make it into the Clone Wars. Monument Plaza on Coruscant first appeared in the illustrated Star Wars universe, where it was portrayed using a drawing from Ralph McQuarrie, and it was later seen at the end of Return of the Jedi in the special edition. Rumors of Mustafar's importance to Imperial leadership are mentioned, including the possibility of Vader taking Jedi there for torture and execution. This was first mentioned in Star Wars Rebels and eventually paid off with Fortress Vader being shown in Rogue One over a year after the book's release. Rey Sloane is one of the protagonists of the book and larger trilogy, having previously been introduced in A New Dawn. She recalls Count Vidion's motto of "Forget the old way" from that story. She goes on to appear in the rest of the Aftermath trilogy and has been mentioned in many other canon works including Battlefront 2 and Phasma. Another protagonist, Jaz Amari, is the niece of the bounty hunter Sugi from the Clone Wars. Jaz uses Sugi's old ship, the Halo. Wedge attempts to use the same tactic that Luke does in Heir to the Empire to escape a Star Destroyer's tractor beam at the start of the book, but Sloane outwits him and defeats the strategy. The Republic Day holiday was first mentioned in the Cloak of Deception novel. As they were released in the same month and set in the same time period, the book has connections to the Uprising mobile game. Leia's message to the galaxy seen in both stories isn't completely identical, but shares a lot of the same wording and sentiment. An interlude is later set on Cloud City during the events of the game and mentions Governor Adelhard sealing off the Anawit sector. Borgle balls, used in the sport of the same name and mentioned passingly by Timon, were only previously mentioned in Luke Skywalker and the Shadows of Mindor. Wedge recalls going on a mission at the urging of a friend and rebel agent known only as Fulcrum during the early days of the rebellion. At the time of the book's release, it was assumed that he was referring to Ahsoka, but Rebels later showed that Wedge was recruited to the rebellion with the help from Agent Kallus serving as Fulcrum. Gwalamus, mentioned passingly in the Seleucami interlude, was created for the Wildlife of Star Wars reference book. Cut Lawquane from the Clone Wars gets a mention in the same interlude, apparently still living on the planet with his family in peace. Pazak, a card game from Knights of the Old Republic, is mentioned here for the first time in canon. The Crymora Syndicate is mentioned by Jaz. They were first mentioned in Tarkin and have since been noted as one of the 5 syndicates prominent in the galaxy. A protester on Chandrilla is noted as a Zan, a species introduced in Planets of the Galaxy Volume 2 from West End Games. Sloane recalls her time as a cadet aboard the Star Destroyer Defiance, part of which was shown in the Orientations short story published in Star Wars Insider to tie into Lords of the Sith. One of the rebel commandos serving with Jom is a Kupoan, a species with ties to the rebels introduced in Heir to the Jedi. Han mentions being attacked by Krish Marauders, a species that first appeared in Adventure Journal 1. Ando Prime is one of the planets Han lists as visiting. It was first seen in the Episode 1 Racer video game. Adia Wright, Sloane's personal assistant, utilizes Akani, a martial art taught to Imperials introduced in the Crimson Empire comic. The sport Gravball is mentioned in an interlude. It first came up in Galaxy Guide 9 and was prominent in the Servants of the Empire series. And those are all the facts Marvel Star Wars pulled out of the book. Again, if you want to read his very informational blog, I link to it in the description, so please go check it out. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and consider checking out our Patreon page. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.